Welcome to Expert Connections. I'm Julie Holton. It's no secret that small businesses are hurting from the pandemic. Figures show that roughly 1/3 of small businesses across the country are shut down, with many in danger of never reopening. For those that are operating, revenue is down significantly, as much as 31% compared to January of last year. And while employment rates have rebounded, which is good, to pre-COVID-19 levels for high-wage workers, they do remain significantly lower for those at lower wages. That's according to tracktherecovery.org, a nonprofit based at Harvard. Small businesses are the lifeblood of our community, and they're nothing short of resilient, resourceful, and ready to rebound. Joining me now to talk about a massive collaboration underway to help keep these businesses going, we have Tim Daman, President and CEO of the Lansing Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Patricia Scott, an attorney at Foster Swift Law Firm in Lansing. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Julie.
You are both a part of the Relaunch Greater Lansing Task Force, which is providing tools to help employers get back up and running, back to prospering, really, while also focusing on safety. So I'd like to start there. Tim, how is this task force and how has this task force been working with business leaders?
You know, Julie, as we'll all recall, a year ago at this time, when everyone began working remotely and offices and places of business were shut down, there was so much information coming at people. It was coming so fast, and multiple sources, multiple different organizations and whatnot. And so I think one of the things we did was when we pulled together the task force, which is really consisting of business, education, and healthcare professionals, it was about becoming and developing this almost like a portal that would funnel all of these resources into one place where an employer, an employee, whatever it might be, could kind of go there to kind of get access to the information they needed to, one, potentially re-engage with their people, to reopen safely, and so forth. And so that was where Relaunch Greater Lansing was born. We've done a great job, I think, in providing all of those resources through website and some of the guidebooks and employee handbooks and so forth. And we're now kind of looking at what that next phase looks like. And that next phase is really kind of this vaccine phase. And, I think everyone's beginning to kind of recognize and see where we are in this process, and that there is a little bit of that, if you kind of use that light at the end of the tunnel, I think everyone's beginning to see that now, that there's a path forward. And that's really where Relaunch has played. And you know what, I think one of the things we've tried to do is to make sure we're doing that in a very safe environment and providing safety and a healthy workplace for employees to re-engage, but also for customers and visitors to our community.
Absolutely, Tim. And I know that for businesses, there's been a lot of information out there. And so having one place that really has served as an aggregate for all of that information and information that can be trusted was really important. You mentioned the vaccine. I know that right now, one of the concerns for many people, for some, there might be mistrust of the vaccine. Others, kind of the opposite. They can't wait to get their hands on it. And of course, all of this has an impact on our businesses. What's the message from the task force about vaccine-related questions?
So I think one of the things we're continuing to hear from the employers and businesses here, there's still just there's a hesitancy on getting vaccinated. And so I think one of the things that we're doing now, the next step for the Relaunch Task Force, is a couple pieces. One is as an employee or employer sort of toolkit that kind of would help employers with what and how they need to engage with their people. So it could be everything from employee communications and how you host town halls, and maybe a little different than a traditional town hall. It may not be the CEO that's the messenger on this. It may be someone else within the organization to kind of go in and answer some questions and concerns that employees have. So those frequently asked questions. It's about educating the people there. It's about continuing to identify the needs. And so the surveys with what and how many of your people want to get vaccinated. So how do we do that? And potentially doing some on-site surveys. And so I think all of that toolkit is really kind of helping employers to help their employees better understand the science and data and medicine behind the vaccine developments. And then the second piece of this and what we're working on is kind of this trusted voices interview segments, where we will bring in community leaders here and kind of talking about, again, these key pieces behind the science and data and medicine behind the vaccines, and how we're making people feel a little bit more comfortable with where the vaccines are right now, and what and why the importance of getting vaccinated, and really kind of helping get our economy back on track and reopen safely.
Patricia, I want to turn to you now. Are there legal considerations for businesses related to the vaccine and really to all things related to COVID? What are some of these considerations?
Absolutely, Julie. You're right. You hit the nail on the head. It's not just the vaccine, but it's all things related to COVID. And I wish there was an easy answer that I could give you, but sadly, or unfortunate, I guess, it's industry specific. And in particular, one of the main questions we get is whether or not you can enforce and make it mandatory to get the vaccine or require proof of getting a vaccine. And that too is industry specific. And I would recommend that our businesses and our listeners seek legal counsel in that regard. The main focus here for our folks is to stay informed, and it's to do what's right, but it's to avoid liability. Resources that are available include, as Tim mentioned, the Relaunch Greater Lansing Task Force website that includes a couple of different toolkits. Within those toolkits, there are resources. So we have resources within resources. It's a great place for our listeners to go to. In addition to that, the Foster Swift website has a lot of information available on it as well. We do a very good job of pushing out the information as soon as it comes, which is a lot, as you can imagine. The key here is that ignorance is no defense. You need to get and stay informed and seek assistance. There's lots of people willing to help. Just let us know how we can do so.